Hello again, it's Noob, and today we get to look at another HPC lockpick set. I think it's only the second lockpick set from HPC I've ever had a chance to play around with, and once again this was kindly gifted to me by my friend Rick, so thank you so much for that, Rick. I really appreciate it. What is this? This is their emergency pick set, a little backup set, one you can shove in a I don't know, a coat pocket or something like that for those times where you might have mislaid your standard everyday kit. And it's just a backup set made out of a spring steel. You know, just a coated spring steel. I don't know if blued is the right word for this, but it, you know, also looks like it. It's a nice black coating on spring steel, very standard, highly magnetic picks. Yeah, and what I think the good thing about this is, straight off the bat, apart from the profiles, which are pretty nice, I've had a play around with them, so if you see a bit of brass colouring on the tips, it's because they've been in a lock. One thing I like about this is you get 6 profiles, all of which are quite nice. Yes, it's spring steel, but I've seen this on sale for around $13 US, or maybe just a little bit above, but not far off, which is around 10-ish UK pounds, depending on when this is seen and the exchange rate and all the rest of it. But I mean, that is already quite a bargain for a bunch of picks. In terms of the overall sort of finish, they do seem to be deburred. They're not like polished or well rounded, but they don't cut you when you run your fingers over them. So they're, you know, they might be a little bit rough and ready, but they're certainly finished to a little degree, and I appreciate that. So I think, you know, straight out of the pack, I can say that this seems to be extremely good value, even if it is, like I said, spring steel, and the profiles seem nice, and the shank thicknesses seem really nice and everything. It does only contain one tension tool, and it all kind of goes into this strange little plastic wallet. I mean, I guess it keeps it all very tidy, but you could definitely fit in another 1 or 2 tension tools, which have gone a long way. Because when I review a set, I like to review it only by using what's in here. So if I review a pick set that contains a tension tool, I'll only use that tension tool. The only time I won't is if you get like a set of picks which clearly don't have a tension tool within it. It's an expansion set or something like that, and in which case I then allow myself to use whatever tension tools I want. But yeah, you can see here you've got 6 profiles, but only 1 tension tool. Seems a little bit on the lacking side. Now, in terms of the thickness, I haven't actually tested this before filming, but I do have my calipers here. So if I had to guess, based on the jackknife, these would probably come in around 20 thousandths-ish. So let's have a go. So this is in millimeters to begin with, about 0.55, which is, I'll re-zero it and make sure it's right, 0.55, which is about 22 thousandths. So there you go. I wasn't too far off, was I? And 22 thousandths is a perfectly reasonable, quite slim thickness, if you ask me. Anyway, before I do some conclusions on this, I think we should do some picking. I've got, yeah, 3 or 4 locks here. Should be fun to pick, and yeah, I'll get back to you in a second. We're going to start out easy with a snake rake, and you just fold out the picks like that. I mean, you can't complain about a lack of a long handle. You really do get quite a, you know, a long amount of tool here, but yeah, nevertheless, you know, as long as your hands are reasonably large, then you should be able to do all right. So I'm just going to see if I can rake this Master Lock XL or Magnum, depending on which side of the pond you're on. There we go. That was just with that snake rake. Next up, I'm going to use this short/medium hook. It's quite a bit deep, but it should be okay. I'm going to pick this this nice brass lock here because it's got loads of nice spools in. It's actually a really pleasant lock to pick. So yeah, I thought, why not? Anything that sort of binds, I'll just give it a little bit of a pick, drop myself into a false set like that. Then once you're in the false set, of course, all you've got to do is then find your try and get around that warding. Find anything that isn't set and sort of lift it up. Come here, you. Get down that keyway. Oh, there we go. So starts at the back, lifting up anything that gives me counter rotation. Being very careful not to overset anything. You see all that counter rotation as we go through the lock. Pin 1 there as well. Oh, we must be close. Who is not set yet. There we go. I think pin 5 at the back, and we're open. Really fun lock. If you notice, I struggled a little there because I am trying to use bottom of the keyway tension in a lock. I normally use bottom of the keyway tension, but clearly just using this tension tool, it's going to be really hard. Otherwise, I'd have easily been able to slip up through this warding in this lock with this hook and just pick from the bottom. So yeah, it probably doubled, if not tripled, the amount of time it took to pick this lock just because of the tools available, let's say. To make up for a truly short hook, we have a half diamond, which is just so versatile and flexible, isn't it? I've got this very small keyway. See how small that keyway is? Quite a nice big lock, but it's an Avocet. Back in the day when the people who make those ABS and ATK locks used to make padlocks and things as well. Lots of spools in this, as you see the cancer rotation. You need to go in there and try and find them all. Oh, overset something there, and we're open. There we go. So very small keyway for relatively large vinyl covered lock, but that half diamond acted just like a short hook would, really. Now we have 2 ball rakes. These are normally used to pick just cabinet locks, you know, your filing cabinet locks, your little wafer cams. But I didn't really fancy doing that, and you can actually use these as a sort of snake rake as well. It's more sort of rounded and a bit more lumpy, but yeah, you can use it that way. So I just got a little 50mm lock here, and I think that I can rake this using the half snowman. So light tension, a bit of scrubbing, and yeah, there we go. We have that open. So there you go, that's the HPC Emergency Pick Set, that little backup set. And as you can see, pretty capable actually in terms of picking locks. And I think that's mostly because they are full-size lock picks. And they act like it and they feel like it. So yeah, let's just do some pros and cons by way of conclusion. So pros. So let's just say the price at what, $13 US, just over £10, I think. This is really cheap. This is a really cheap set, especially for a backup set. I can easily imagine just throwing one of these in something, you know, just as a backup. Why not? The overall finish, it's adequate. Yeah, it's not sharp. I mean, it could be a little bit more rounded, but I mean, it's a backup set and it's not sharp. You can use it straight away. So I think that's a pro for the price. Another pro, they're full-size lockpicks. They're comfortable to use. You know, they're not horrible to use. I like the shank height and the thickness of 22 thousandths or 0.5. Was it 0.55 millimeters? That is a really nice thickness. And the profiles, by and large, are really nice as well. You know, there's they're just good profiles. They feel nice. So, I mean, there's a lot here I'd say is going well for it. What would I say isn't so good? And bear in mind, right, you got to, whatever I say, you got to understand that these are really, really quite cheap. So these negatives are only negatives just because, you know, I'm looking at it from perfection. I don't know why you get 2 snake rakes. I guess it's because they're used quite a lot and most likely to break, and if it did break you'd be left with a probe anyway, which is kind of cool. But nevertheless, if I could just swap one of those for a true short hook or even a medium hook, I'm happy to use that half diamond as a really short hook if I have to. So maybe a medium hook or a short hook. I think this would have made it a bit more versatile. Also, I have to say it's not my favourite snake rake profile. It looks really like one hump and a half attempt. It needs to sort of come over again to provide that second hump, I think, to really be useful as a snake rake. Just my opinion. Other than that, I mean, if you wanted these separate, you could easily just drill out that rivet. I don't know why they've got holes here. Maybe they use something similar for the jackknife set. I'm not really sure. But why there's holes here? Does it matter? No. In fact, I'm really struggling to think of any other negatives apart from the fact that they could have probably put in another 1 or 2 tension tools and not have a twist in. That would have gone a long way. But again, I mean, you can make your own out of some wiper blade and just shove some in there. I mean, it's really not that difficult. And I think what you're getting for the price anyway is pretty good. Yeah, the case is a bit, but again, the price, this is a backup, you know. So I've got to say, overall, it really did a lot better than I thought it was going to do in terms of performance, usability. It can be a little bit cumbersome because this really is quite long. You know, it's over 20 centimeters, I think, when it's like 25 centimeters when it's all expanded. This is a really sort of long pick, and it can be a bit sort of heavy at this end because you've got obviously 5 picks that side weighing it down, but overall it's not that heavy. And like I said, the picks are so usable and nice anyway, you can sort of forgive it. So yeah, I think it gets the thumbs up from me, especially for the price point. I think it was 2 or 3 times that price. I might have different opinions, but for what you get, pretty good, I'd say. Anyway, that's my thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you have one of these? Have you used HPC? Do you mind the spring steel over like a half hard or a full hard? Do you agree with me on the profiles? Do you not agree with me on the profiles? Whatever you want to say, please drop it in the comments. I read all the comments, reply to as many as I can. If you like this video, drop it a like. And if you really want to support my channel, then please consider subscribing. It really helps me out. And of course, I'll see you all next time.